The small gift bag felt heavier in my hands than it should have. $27 for a silver bracelet with her initials engraved on it. Not much by most standards, but it represented 3 lunch breaks of eating peanut butter sandwiches instead of buying from the food truck outside my construction site. My name's Eli Harper, and I've been managing construction projects for 8 years now, which means I know the value of both money and time. The music was already pounding through Dana's front door when I climbed the steps to her apartment. Female voices laughed inside, high and sharp like breaking glass. I could smell wine and expensive perfume even through the wood. Her birthday party was in full swing, and I was fashionably late thanks to a concrete pour that ran over schedule. When Dana opened the door, she looked stunning in that effortless way that had first caught my attention 6 months ago. Her blonde hair fell in perfect waves over a black dress that probably cost more than my weekly paycheck. She worked as a compliance officer at Morrison & Associates, a tech law firm downtown, which meant she made 3 times what I did and never let me forget it. "Oh, you made it," she said, taking the gift bag from my hands without really looking at it. Her eyes were bright from wine, but there was something else there, something that made my stomach tighten. "Happy birthday, beautiful," I said, leaning in for a kiss. She turned her head slightly, so my lips caught her cheek instead. That should have been my first warning. "Listen, Eli," she said, lowering her voice and glancing back toward the living room. "I need to ask you something, and please don't get weird about it." I could hear male laughter now, mixing with the female voices. That was strange. Dana had told me this was girls' night only. That's why I'd spent the last week looking forward to tonight, imagining how surprised and happy she'd be when I showed up with her gift. "My ex is here," she continued, watching my face carefully. "Brady. You remember me mentioning him, right? He stopped by unexpectedly, and the girls invited him to stay. You know how it is?" I didn't know how it was, actually, but I nodded anyway. "The thing is," Dana said, stepping closer and putting her hand on my chest, "he'd feel really uncomfortable if you were here. You two being in the same room together would just create this weird tension, you know? It would ruin the whole vibe of the party." I stared at her, trying to process what she was saying. Through the doorway, I could see into her living room. Alyssa, her best friend, was curled up on the couch next to a man I'd never seen before. He was older than me, maybe early 40s, with perfectly styled brown hair and the kind of expensive casual clothes that screamed money. He had his arm around Alyssa's shoulders, but his eyes were on Dana. "So, you want me to leave?" I asked. "Just for tonight," Dana said quickly. "It's not personal, baby. I just don't want any drama on my birthday. You understand, right? You're so good about stuff like this." The man on the couch, Brady, I assumed, looked over at us. He had the kind of smile that rich guys wear when they are getting exactly what they want. When his eyes met mine, he didn't look uncomfortable at all. He looked amused. "Please, Eli," Dana said, "don't make this harder than it has to be." I stood there for a long moment, holding her gaze. Behind her, I could see Erica, another one of her work friends, whispering something to a woman I didn't recognize. They were all looking at me now, waiting to see what the blue-collar boyfriend would do when he got dismissed from the grown-ups party. "Sure," I said finally. "No problem." Dana's relief was visible. "Thank you. You're the best. I'll call you tomorrow, okay?" She closed the door before I could respond. I walked back to my truck slowly, my work boots loud on the concrete steps. The night air was cool against my face, and I could still hear the party through Dana's windows. Instead of driving away, I pulled into a parking spot across the street where I could still see her living room window. I told myself I was being paranoid. I told myself Dana was just trying to avoid an awkward situation. But something in my gut, the same instinct that had kept me alive during 2 tours in Afghanistan, was screaming that something was very wrong. Through the window, I watched Brady stand up from the couch and walk over to Dana. She handed him a glass of wine, and when he took it, his fingers lingered on hers. She didn't pull away. Instead, she laughed at something he said, throwing her head back in that way she usually reserved for me. Then the music changed to something slow, and Brady pulled Dana into his arms. They swayed together in the middle of her living room while her friends watched and smiled. This wasn't the behavior of an ex-boyfriend who would feel uncomfortable around her current boyfriend. This was the behavior of a man who was exactly where he wanted to be. Dana rested her head on Brady's shoulder, and he whispered something in her ear that made her laugh again. Then his hand moved down her back, lower than any ex-boyfriend's hand should go, and she didn't stop him. That's when I knew. I sat in my truck for another hour, watching them disappear down the hallway toward her bedroom. When the living room lights went out, I finally started the engine and drove home to my small apartment on the other side of town. The next morning, my phone buzzed with a text from Dana. "Where are you, babe? When are you coming over? I stared at the message for a long time, feeling something cold and hard settle in my chest. She was going to pretend nothing had happened. She was going to act like she hadn't just humiliated me in front of her friends, like she hadn't just chosen another man over me on her birthday. But I wasn't the same guy who had stood on her doorstep last night, holding a gift bag and hoping for a kiss. That guy had been naive enough to believe that love meant something. That guy had been stupid enough to think that 6 months of relationship meant 6 months of loyalty. I typed back, "I'm not babe anymore. We're done. If you want to be with your ex, stay with him. I don't want someone close to me who can erase me with one sentence." I hit send, then immediately blocked her number. But as I sat there in the morning light, I realized something that surprised me. I wasn't heartbroken. I was angry. And anger, I had learned in the Army, was a much more useful emotion than sadness. Dana thought she could dismiss me like some inconvenient delivery guy. She thought I would just disappear quietly and let her have her perfect little life with her rich ex-boyfriend. She was wrong. The thing about construction work is that it teaches you patience. You can't rush concrete. It sets when it sets. You can't force a foundation to be level. You have to measure twice and pour once. And you can't build anything lasting without understanding exactly what you're working with. So I decided to treat Dana like a construction project. Before I could figure out how to handle her, I needed to understand the full scope of what I was dealing with. My first stop was Kyle Morrison, my best friend since high school and the only person I trusted completely. Kyle had done 2 tours with me in Afghanistan before coming home and starting his own security consulting business. He specialized in corporate investigations, which meant he knew how to find information that people didn't want found. I found him at his office above Murphy's Bar on Wednesday afternoon, surrounded by computer monitors and looking like he hadn't slept in days. "You look like hell," he said when I walked in. "Feel worse?" I replied, dropping into the chair across from his desk. "I need a favor." Kyle leaned back and studied my face. "This about Dana? How do you know?" "Because you've got that same look you had right before you decided to re-enlist for a second tour. Like someone pissed in your cornflakes and you're planning to burn down their whole farm." I told him everything, the birthday party, the dismissal, the scene through the window. Kyle listened without interrupting, occasionally nodding or making notes on a legal pad. "So what do you want me to do?" he asked when I finished. "I want to know who Brady is. I want to know how long this has been going on. And I want to know what else Dana's been lying about." Kyle was quiet for a moment, tapping his pen against the desk. "You sure about this, Eli? Sometimes it's better not to know." "I'm sure." "Okay, but this is going to cost you. Information isn't free." "How much?" 2 cases of beer and you help me move my couch this weekend." "Deal." Kyle started typing on one of his computers. "What's Dana's last name again?" "Westbrook. Dana Marie Westbrook. She works at Morrison & Associates downtown." "Got it. And the ex?" "Brady something. Older guy, expensive clothes, acts like he owns the world." "That narrows it down to about half the lawyers in this city," Kyle muttered, but his fingers were already flying over the keyboard. "Give me a couple hours." I spent those hours driving around town, trying to clear my head. But everywhere I went, I saw couples holding hands, laughing together, looking happy. It made my chest tight with something that wasn't quite sadness and wasn't quite rage. When I got back to Kyle's office, he had a folder waiting for me. "Brady Sullivan," he said, sliding a printout across the desk. 42 years old, partner at Morrison & Associates, same firm where Dana works. Divorced 2 years ago, pays alimony to his ex-wife Jennifer. Lives in a penthouse downtown, drives a BMW, and according to his social media, he likes expensive wine and younger women. I studied the photo Kyle had printed from Brady's LinkedIn profile. It was definitely the same guy I'd seen at Dana's party, but in this picture he was wearing a $3,000 suit and standing in front of a city skyline. "He's her boss?" I asked. "Not directly, but he's senior to her. Get this. He's been divorced for 2 years, but according to Dana's Instagram, you two started dating 6 months ago. Want to guess when Brady's divorce was finalized? 6 months ago. Bingo. And here's the interesting part." Kyle pulled up another screen. I did some digging into Morrison & Associates. Brady Sullivan has a reputation for sleeping with junior employees. There were 2 harassment complaints filed against him in the past 3 years, but both women left the firm before anything came of it. The cold feeling in my chest was spreading. So Dana's just the latest in a pattern. Looks like it, but here's where it gets really interesting. Kyle clicked to another screen. I pulled Dana's social media activity for the past 6 months. Look at this. He showed me a series of Instagram posts. Dana at expensive restaurants I'd never taken her to. Dana wearing jewelry I'd never seen before, Dana at a wine tasting event, a concert, a weekend trip to Martha's Vineyard, all places she'd never mentioned to me. When were these posted? I asked. Throughout your entire relationship. She's been living a double life, man. You were getting her Tuesday and Thursday nights, maybe a weekend here and there. Brady was getting everything else. I felt like someone had punched me in the stomach. So I was never her boyfriend. I was her side piece. That's about the size of it. I stared at the photos, trying to reconcile them with the Dana I thought I knew. The woman in these pictures looked happy, confident, like she belonged in Brady's world of expensive restaurants and weekend getaways. The woman I'd been dating had always seemed slightly out of reach, like she was doing me a favor by spending time with me. Now I knew why. There's more, Kyle said quietly. I found her dating profile. What dating profile? He turned his monitor toward me. There was Dana's face on a premium dating site with photos I'd never seen before. Her profile said she was single, looking for someone financially stable and emotionally mature. The last login was 2 days ago. She's still active on dating sites, I said. Gets worse. Look at her preferences. I read through her profile, each line hitting me like a physical blow. She was looking for men with advanced degrees, six-figure incomes, and refined tastes. Under deal breakers, she had listed blue-collar work and lack of ambition. I'm literally everything she doesn't want, I said. Yeah, but you were convenient, Kyle replied. Someone to fill the gaps when Brady wasn't available. Someone to make her feel wanted when he was busy with other women. I closed the folder and leaned back in my chair. The anger was building now, hot and clean and focused. Dana hadn't just cheated on me. She'd made me complicit in my own humiliation. She'd let me spend money I didn't have on gifts for her while she was living it up with her rich boss. She'd let me fall for her while she was advertising herself to other men online. So what's the plan? Kyle asked. I don't know yet, but she's not getting away with this. Just remember, revenge is a dish best served cold. Don't do anything stupid while you're angry. I stood up and shook his hand. Thanks for this. I owe you. You sure do. And Eli? Be careful. Brady Sullivan has money and connections. If you go after him, make sure you're ready for him to hit back. I walked out of Kyle's office with the folder under my arm, feeling like I was seeing the world clearly for the first time in months. Dana thought she was playing games with some dumb construction worker who would disappear quietly when dismissed. She was about to learn how wrong she was. I spent the next week planning. The old me would have confronted Dana immediately, probably yelled and made a scene that would have made her look like the victim. But the Army had taught me the value of reconnaissance, and Kyle's investigation had given me something more powerful than anger. I had information. Dana tried calling me from different numbers after I blocked her. She left voicemails that started apologetic and gradually became more irritated. Eli, you're being ridiculous. Call me back so we can talk about this like adults. Then, I don't understand why you're being so dramatic. Nothing happened with Brady. Finally, fine. If you want to throw away 6 months over nothing, that's your choice. Nothing. She called what I'd seen through her window nothing. I decided it was time to show her what nothing really looked like. Morrison and Associates occupied 3 floors of a glass tower downtown. I'd driven past it dozens of times, but never been inside. The lobby was all marble and chrome, designed to intimidate people like me. The security guard looked at my work clothes with obvious suspicion when I asked for Dana Westbrook. Is she expecting you? He asked. It's a surprise, I said, giving him my most innocent smile. He made a phone call, spoke quietly, then handed me a visitor's badge. 15th floor. Elevators are to your right. The elevator was full of people in expensive suits who looked through me like I was invisible. I was wearing my cleanest jeans and a button-down shirt, but I might as well have been naked for all the attention they paid me. That was fine. I'd learned long ago that people underestimated blue-collar workers, and that could be an advantage. The 15th floor was open-plan offices separated by glass walls. I could see Dana at her desk, talking on the phone and gesturing with her free hand. She looked professional and confident, nothing like the woman who had dismissed me from her birthday party. I walked straight to her office and knocked on the glass door. Dana looked up, and I watched her face cycle through surprise, confusion, and finally irritation. She ended her phone call quickly and opened the door. Eli, what are you doing here? She hissed, glancing around at her coworkers. We need to talk, I said. This isn't the place. I'm at work. I know. That's why I'm here. Can I come in? She stepped aside reluctantly, and I entered her office. It was small but well appointed, with a view of the city and diplomas on the wall. There was a photo of her with her parents on her desk, but no pictures of us together. I wondered if there ever had been. "You can't just show up at my workplace," Dana said, closing the door behind me. "This is completely inappropriate." "You know what's inappropriate? Lying to someone for 6 months?" Her face went pale. "I don't know what you're talking about." I pulled out my phone and showed her one of the Instagram photos Kyle had found. Dana and Brady at an expensive restaurant, his arm around her shoulders. "This was posted 3 weeks ago. You told me you were working late that night." Dana stared at the photo, and I watched her calculate how much I knew. "Eli, you don't understand." "I understand perfectly. You've been dating your boss while pretending to date me. I was your backup plan, your Tuesday night entertainment when Brady was busy. It's not like that." "Then what is it like, Dana? Explain it to me." She sat down behind her desk, putting a barrier between us. "Brady and I have history. We dated before, and when he got divorced, we started seeing each other again. But it's complicated because we work together. So you used me as a cover story. I cared about you, Eli, I really did. But Brady and I, we're more compatible. We move in the same circles, we understand each other's work, we have similar backgrounds." "You mean he has money and I don't?" Dana's face flushed. "That's not what I meant." "Isn't it? I saw your dating profile, Dana. Blue-collar work is a deal-breaker for you, remember? Lack of ambition?" She looked genuinely shocked now. "How did you?" "It doesn't matter how. What matters is that you lied to me. You let me spend money I couldn't afford on you while you were living it up with your rich boyfriend. You let me fall for you while you were shopping for someone better." "I never asked you to spend money on me," Dana said, her voice getting defensive. "No, but you took it. You took the gifts, you took the dinners, you took 6 months of my life, and you gave me nothing real in return." Dana stood up, her professional mask slipping. "What do you want, Eli? An apology?" "Fine, I'm sorry. I should have been more honest with you, but this doesn't change anything. We're not compatible long-term, and you know it." "You're right," I said. "We're not compatible. I'm honest, and you're not. I'm loyal, and you're not. I treat people with respect, and you don't." "You need to leave," Dana said. "I have work to do." "I'm sure you do. Brady keeping you busy?" Her face went red. "Get out of my office." I walked to the door, then turned back. "By the way, Dana, I brought you something." I pulled a manila envelope from my jacket and placed it on her desk. "Consider it a breakup gift." "What is it?" "Photos, screenshots of your dating profile, text messages between you and Brady that you probably thought were private, social media posts showing your double life, everything I found when I decided to figure out who you really are." Dana's hand trembled as she reached for the envelope. "What are you going to do with these?" "Nothing, as long as you leave me alone. But if you keep calling me, if you keep trying to make me look like the bad guy in this story, then I might decide to share them with people who would find them interesting. Your parents, maybe. Your coworkers. Brady's ex-wife, who might be curious to know how long her husband was cheating on her." Dana's face went white. "You wouldn't." "Try me." I walked out of her office, leaving the door open behind me. As I waited for the elevator, I could see Dana through her glass wall, frantically going through the contents of the envelope. Other employees were starting to notice the commotion, whispering to each other and glancing in her direction. The elevator doors opened, and Brady Sullivan stepped out. He was even more impressive in person. Tall, confident, wearing a suit that probably cost more than my truck. He saw me immediately, and recognition flashed in his eyes. "You must be Eli," he said, extending his hand with a politician's smile. "I'm Brady Sullivan." I looked at his hand but didn't take it. "I know who you are. Listen, I hope there are no hard feelings about the other night. Dana was in a difficult position, and she handled it the best way she could." "Is that what you call it?" Brady's smile faltered slightly. "I'm sorry. I'm just wondering if a difficult position is what you call sleeping with your employee while she's dating someone else." The elevator was still open, and other people were starting to pay attention to our conversation. Brady's face tightened. "I think there's been a misunderstanding," he said quietly. "No misunderstanding. I saw you two together. I know about the restaurants, the trips, the whole secret relationship. What I don't know is whether your bosses at the firm know that you're sleeping with another employee after being warned about harassment complaints." Brady stepped closer, lowering his voice. "You're playing a dangerous game, friend. I'm not your friend, and I'm not playing." The elevator doors started to close, but I held them open. "By the way, Brady, you might want to check with Dana before you make any more threats. She'll explain why that's not a good idea." I stepped into the elevator and let the doors close, leaving Brady standing in the hallway with his mouth open. As the elevator descended, I felt something I hadn't experienced in weeks. satisfaction. Dana and Brady thought they were dealing with some heartbroken construction worker who would slink away quietly. They were about to learn that they'd seriously underestimated their opponent. The real game was just beginning. Word travels fast in a city like ours, especially when it involves rich lawyers and workplace drama. By the time I got home from my visit to Morrison and Associates, my phone was buzzing with a text from Kyle. "Heard you paid Dana a visit at work today. Please tell me you didn't do anything stupid." I called him back. "Define stupid." "Eli, relax. I didn't hit anyone or break anything. I just had a conversation." "What kind of conversation?" I told him about the confrontation with Dana and the encounter with Brady in the elevator. Kyle was quiet for a long moment after I finished. "You realize you just declared war on a guy with serious connections, right?" he said finally. "He declared war on me first. He just didn't have the courtesy to let me know." "This isn't Afghanistan, man. You can't just outflank these people and call it a victory. Brady Sullivan has lawyers, private investigators, and enough money to make your life very difficult." "Then I guess I better make his life difficult first." Kyle sighed. "Okay, but you're not doing this alone. If you're going to take on Brady Sullivan, you need allies. I have you. You need more than me. You need people who know how this world works, people who can help you navigate the legal and social aspects of this fight." That's how I ended up at Murphy's Bar the next evening, sitting at a corner table with Kyle and two other people I'd never expected to have on my side. The first was Jennifer Sullivan, Brady's ex-wife. Kyle had tracked her down through his contacts, and when he'd explained the situation, she'd agreed to meet with us. She was in her late 30s, attractive in a tired way, with the kind of expensive clothes that couldn't hide the stress lines around her eyes. "I'm not surprised," she said when I finished telling her about Brady and Dana. "This is exactly his pattern. He finds someone young and impressed by his money, wines and dines them for a few months, then moves on to the next one." "How long was he cheating on you?" I asked. "The entire last year of our marriage, maybe longer. I found credit card statements for restaurants I'd never been to, hotel rooms when he was supposedly traveling alone for work, gifts that never made it home to me." The second person at our table was someone I hadn't expected. Erica Chen, one of Dana's co-workers from Morrison and Associates. She was younger than Dana, maybe 26, with short black hair and intelligent eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. "I was at the birthday party," she said quietly. "I saw how Dana treated you, and it made me sick. She spent the whole evening talking about how you were just a temporary thing, how she was waiting for Brady to make their relationship official." "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. "Because I'm tired of watching people like Dana and Brady treat other people like they're disposable, and because—" She hesitated, then continued. "Because Brady tried the same thing with me last year. Expensive dinners, private meetings, hints about how I could advance my career if I was friendly with the right people." "What happened?" I said no, and suddenly my performance reviews started getting worse. I was passed over for a promotion I deserved. When I complained to HR, they said there was no evidence of retaliation. Jennifer leaned forward. "That's exactly what he did to his secretary right before our divorce. She filed a complaint, got fired 2 weeks later for performance issues, and Brady made sure she couldn't find another job at any firm in the city." "So what do you want to do about it?" Kyle asked. Jennifer and Erica looked at each other, then at me. "We want to help you take him down," Jennifer said. "But we need to be smart about it. Brady has powerful friends, and he's good at making problems disappear." "What kind of help are we talking about?" I asked. "I have access to financial records from our divorce," Jennifer said. "Bank statements, credit card bills, evidence of his spending patterns. If you can prove he's been using company resources to fund his affairs, that's grounds for termination, even at a firm like Morrison and Associates." "And I have access to his office computer," Erica added. "Email records, calendar appointments, maybe even evidence of other harassment complaints that were covered up." Kyle whistled low. "That's some serious ammunition." "It's also serious risk for both of you," I pointed out. "If Brady finds out you're helping me, he'll come after you." "He's already coming after me," Erica said. "My job is hanging by a thread anyway. At least this way, maybe I can take him down with me." "And I have nothing left to lose," Jennifer added. "He already took my marriage, my home, and half my friends. The only thing I have left is the truth." We spent the next hour planning our strategy. Jennifer would gather financial evidence showing Brady's pattern of using company funds for personal expenses, particularly his affairs. Erica would document the workplace harassment and look for other victims who might be willing to speak up. Kyle would use his security contacts to investigate Brady's current activities and look for any other vulnerabilities. My job was to keep Brady focused on me while the others gathered evidence. It was the most dangerous role, but it was also the most important. As long as Brady saw me as the primary threat, he wouldn't be watching for attacks from other directions. "There's one more thing," Jennifer said as we were getting ready to leave. "Brady's not just going to sit back and let you attack him. He's going to try to destroy you first. Your job, your reputation, maybe even your freedom if he can find a way to frame you for something." "Let him try," I said. "I'm serious, Eli. He has resources you don't, and he's not bound by the same moral constraints you are. He'll lie, cheat, and manipulate to protect himself. Then I guess I better make sure I hit him first, and hit him hard enough that he doesn't get back up." As we left the bar, I felt something I hadn't experienced since my Army days, the satisfaction of being part of a team with a clear mission. Dana and Brady thought they were dealing with one angry ex-boyfriend. They had no idea they were about to face a coordinated assault from multiple directions. The war was about to begin in earnest. Brady made his move faster than I expected. 3 days after our encounter at Morrison & Associates, I got a call from my supervisor, Jim Patterson. "Eli, I need you to come in early today. We have a situation." "What kind of situation?" "The kind we need to discuss in person." I arrived at the construction company office an hour before my usual start time. Jim was waiting for me with a cup of coffee and a grim expression. He was a good man, fair but tough, and we'd always gotten along well. "Sit down, Eli," he said, closing his office door behind me. "Am I in trouble?" "That depends. Tell me about your relationship with Dana Westbrook." My blood went cold. "Why?" "Because I got a very interesting phone call yesterday from a lawyer named Brady Sullivan. He claims you've been stalking and harassing his girlfriend, that you showed up at her workplace and threatened her." "That's not what happened." "Then tell me what did happen." I gave Jim the full story: the birthday party, the investigation, the confrontation at Dana's office. He listened without interrupting, occasionally nodding or taking notes. "So, you did go to her workplace," he said when I finished. "Yes, but I didn't threaten her. I told her to leave me alone." "And this Brady Sullivan? You confronted him too?" "He confronted me. I just made it clear that I knew what was going on." Jim leaned back in his chair. "Eli, you've been a good employee for 8 years. Your work is solid, your crews respect you, and you've never given me any trouble. But this Sullivan guy is claiming you're unstable, that you might be dangerous." "And you believe him?" "I don't know what to believe, but I do know that Morrison & Associates is one of our biggest clients. They handle legal work for half the construction projects in this city. If they decide we're employing someone who harasses their staff, they'll take their business elsewhere." "Exactly. So I need to ask you, are you going to drop this thing with Dana Westbrook and move on with your life?" I looked at Jim for a long moment. He was a good man caught in a bad situation, and Brady was using economic pressure to force him into a corner. It was a smart move: attack my livelihood instead of me directly, make it look like a business decision instead of personal retaliation. "What if I say no?" I asked. "Then I have to put you on unpaid leave while we investigate the harassment allegations, and if Sullivan decides to press charges or file a restraining order, I might have to let you go entirely. And if I say yes, then this conversation never happened, and we all move on with our lives." I stood up and walked to Jim's window, looking out at the construction yard where I'd spent the better part of a decade. My crews were already arriving, getting ready for another day of honest work. These were good people, and I didn't want my personal problems to affect their livelihoods. But I also couldn't let Brady Sullivan think he could intimidate me into backing down. "I need some time to think about it," I said. "You've got until tomorrow morning, but Eli, be smart about this. Some fights aren't worth winning." I left Jim's office feeling like I had a target painted on my back. Brady had moved quickly and efficiently, using his connections and resources to attack me where I was most vulnerable. It was exactly what Jennifer had warned me about, but it was also a mistake. I called Kyle from my truck. "Brady just tried to get me fired." "What happened?" I explained the conversation with Jim. Kyle was quiet for a moment after I finished. "He's escalating faster than I expected," Kyle said. "That means he's scared. Or it means he's confident he can crush me before I become a real threat. Maybe, but it also means he's making moves that can be traced. Every time he uses his influence to hurt you, he creates evidence of retaliation. Jennifer and Erica are going to love this." "What do you mean?" "Meet me at Murphy's tonight. I have something to show you." That evening, I found Kyle at our usual corner table with Jennifer and Erica. They both looked excited in a way that made me hopeful for the first time in days. "Tell him," Kyle said to Jennifer. She pulled out a folder thick with documents. "I spent all day going through Brady's financial records from our divorce. Look at this." She showed me credit card statements going back 2 years. Highlighted charges showed a pattern of expensive dinners, hotel rooms, jewelry purchases, and weekend trips, all charged to a company credit card. This is all personal spending, Jennifer explained. Dinners with women who weren't me, hotel rooms for affairs, gifts for his girlfriends, all of it charged to Morrison and Associates as client entertainment or business travel. How much are we talking about? Over the past 2 years, nearly $50,000 in fraudulent charges. Erica leaned forward, and I found something even better. Brady's been using his company email to coordinate his affairs. Explicit messages, hotel reservations, even photos that definitely aren't work-related. She showed me printouts of email exchanges between Brady and at least 3 different women, including Dana. The messages were graphic, unprofessional, and clearly personal rather than business-related. This is all grounds for termination, Kyle said. Fraud, misuse of company resources, sexual harassment, creating a hostile work environment. Any decent HR department would fire him immediately. But Morrison and Associates isn't a decent HR department, Erica said. They protect partners, especially ones who bring in as much money as Brady does. Then we go around them, I said. Who else would care about this information? Jennifer smiled. The State Bar Association, for starters. Lawyers are supposed to maintain professional standards. Using company resources for personal affairs and sexually harassing employees violates those standards. And the IRS, Kyle added. If he's been claiming personal expenses as business deductions, that's tax fraud. Plus his other victims, Erica said. I found contact information for 2 other women who left the firm after complaining about Brady. If they're willing to come forward with their stories, we'd have a pattern of behavior that would be impossible to ignore, I finished. For the first time since this whole thing started, I felt like we had Brady on the defensive instead of the other way around. He tried to use his power and connections to destroy me, but in doing so, he'd exposed himself to counterattack. So, what's our next move? I asked. We document everything, Kyle said. Every phone call, every threat, every attempt at retaliation. We build a case so solid that even Brady's money and connections can't protect him. And then? Jennifer's smile was cold and satisfied. Then we destroy him the same way he's destroyed so many other people, professionally, financially, and socially. But we have to be careful, Erica warned. If Brady realizes what we're doing before we're ready to strike, he'll find a way to discredit all of us. Let me worry about Brady, I said. My job is to keep his attention focused on me while you gather the evidence, and I think I know exactly how to do that. As we left the bar that night, I felt the familiar calm that came before a major operation. Brady Sullivan thought he was fighting some heartbroken construction worker who would fold under pressure. He had no idea he was about to face a coordinated assault from people who had nothing left to lose and everything to gain. The first strike was about to be launched, and Brady wouldn't see it coming until it was too late. The plan we developed was elegant in its simplicity. While Brady focused on trying to destroy me, Jennifer, Erica, and Kyle would gather enough evidence to end his career. Then we would strike simultaneously from multiple directions, giving him no time to mount a defense or call in favors. But first, I had to give Jim Patterson an answer about my job. I walked into his office the next morning with my decision made. I'm not backing down, Jim. Dana Westbrook and Brady Sullivan lied about what happened, and I'm not going to let them destroy my reputation to cover up their own misconduct. Jim sighed heavily. I was afraid you'd say that. Eli, I have to put you on administrative leave pending an investigation. I'm sorry, but my hands are tied. I understand. But Jim, when this is all over, you're going to see that I was telling the truth, and you're going to see exactly what kind of people Morrison and Associates really employs. What's that supposed to mean? It means you might want to reconsider doing business with them. Their ethics are about as solid as a foundation built on quicksand. I cleaned out my desk and said goodbye to my crew, promising them this was temporary. Then I drove home to wait for Kyle's call. It came 3 days later. We're ready, he said. Meet us at Murphy's tonight. It's time to end this. The 4 of us gathered around our usual table, but this time the atmosphere was different. We weren't planning anymore. We were about to execute. Jennifer, you go first, Kyle said. She pulled out a thick manila envelope. I filed complaints with the State Bar Association, the IRS, and the Attorney General's office. 50 pages of documentation showing Brady's pattern of fraud, harassment, and professional misconduct. I also sent copies to 3 investigative journalists who specialize in legal corruption. Erica? I submitted a formal complaint to Morrison and Associates Board of Directors, along with copies of Brady's emails and evidence of his harassment of multiple employees. I also contacted the 2 other women who left the firm because of Brady. They're both willing to testify if needed. Kyle? I've been documenting every attempt Brady made to retaliate against Eli. Phone calls to his employer, attempts to have him blacklisted from other construction companies, even hiring a private investigator to follow him. It's a clear pattern of harassment and intimidation. They all looked at me. What about you, Eli? I smiled. I made sure Brady knows exactly who he's been fighting. That afternoon, I had driven to Morrison & Associates one more time, but instead of going up to Dana's office, I had waited in the lobby until Brady came down for lunch. When he saw me, his face went white. You need to stay away from here, he said, walking quickly toward the exit. I followed him outside. Actually, Brady, I think you need to hear what I have to say. He turned around, and I could see fear in his eyes for the first time. I'm calling security. Go ahead. But first, let me ask you something. Do you remember Jennifer Morrison? Brady's face went even paler. What about her? She's my friend Kyle's cousin. You remember Kyle Morrison, don't you? He runs Morrison Security Consulting. Small world, isn't it? The blood drained from Brady's face as he realized what I was telling him. Kyle Morrison wasn't just my army buddy. He was connected to one of the most prominent families in the city. His cousin Jennifer had married Brady Sullivan and kept her maiden name professionally. When Brady had destroyed his marriage through his affairs, he'd made an enemy of the entire Morrison family. You see, Brady, you made a mistake when you tried to have me fired. You assumed I was just some dumb construction worker with no connections, no resources, no way to fight back. But you forgot to ask who my friends were. Brady was backing away from me now, but I kept talking. Jennifer has been documenting your affairs for years. She has financial records, email evidence, testimony from your victims. And Kyle has been investigating your business practices. Did you know that using company credit cards for personal expenses is embezzlement? Did you know that sexually harassing employees is a felony in this state? You don't know what you're talking about, Brady said, but his voice was shaking. I know that the State Bar Association received a very detailed complaint about you this morning. I know that the IRS is going to be very interested in your tax returns. And I know that 3 different journalists are working on stories about corruption at Morrison & Associates. Brady's face was completely white now. What do you want? I want you to understand that you picked the wrong person to mess with. I want you to know that every threat you made, every attempt to destroy my life, has been documented and reported to the appropriate authorities. And I want you to realize that your career is over. I walked away, leaving Brady standing on the sidewalk looking like he'd seen a ghost. Back at Murphy's, my 3 allies were grinning as I finished the story. So what happens now? I asked. Now we wait, Kyle said, but not for long. The Bar Association moves fast when they have this much evidence. The IRS investigation will take longer, but it's already started, and the journalists are planning to publish their stories this weekend. What about Morrison & Associates? The board of directors called an emergency meeting for tomorrow morning, Erica said. Word is already spreading through the office that Brady's in serious trouble. Dana's been trying to distance herself from him all week. Speaking of Dana, Jennifer said, she tried to call me yesterday. Apparently she wants to clear the air about what happened. What did you tell her? I told her that if she wanted to clear the air, she should start by telling the truth about her relationship with my ex-husband and her treatment of you. Kyle raised his beer. To justice served cold. To friends who have your back, I added. To taking down bullies who think they're untouchable, Erica said. To making sure they never hurt anyone else again, Jennifer finished. We clinked glasses, and for the first time in weeks, I felt completely at peace. Brady Sullivan had tried to destroy me because he thought I was weak, isolated, and powerless. Instead, he'd discovered that I had something he'd never understood, real friends who would stand by me no matter what. The next morning, I woke up to a text from Kyle. It's over. Brady was terminated effective immediately. Dana submitted her resignation. The story hits the papers in 3 hours. I smiled and deleted the message. Then I called Jim Patterson. Jim, it's Eli. I think you're going to want to reconsider that administrative leave. Why's that? Turn on the news in about 2 hours. You'll see. By noon, Brady Sullivan's career was finished. By evening, Morrison & Associates had issued a public apology and announced new policies for preventing harassment. By the end of the week, I was back at work with a formal apology from Jim and a new contract that made us the primary construction firm for 3 major projects that Morrison & Associates had been handling. Dana tried to call me once more, but I didn't answer. There was nothing left to say. She'd made her choice when she decided I was disposable, and now she had to live with the consequences. Kyle found me at the construction site a week later, wearing a hard hat and carrying 2 cups of coffee. How does it feel to be the guy who took down Brady Sullivan? He asked. It feels like justice, I said, but mostly it feels like closure. Any regrets? I thought about it for a moment. Yeah, one. I regret not seeing through Dana's act sooner, but I don't regret fighting back when they tried to destroy me. Good, because word is getting around about what happened. You've got a reputation now, the construction guy who took on the lawyers and won. Think that's a good thing or a bad thing? Kyle grinned. Depends on whether you're planning to mess with Eli Harper or not. We stood there watching my crew pour concrete for the foundation of a new office building. It was honest work, the kind that built things instead of tearing them down, the kind that created something lasting instead of destroying people's lives for personal gain. Brady Sullivan and Dana Westbrook had tried to make me feel small, disposable, unworthy of respect. Instead, they'd taught me something valuable about my own strength and the loyalty of real friends. I never saw either of them again, but I heard through the grapevine that Brady left the city after his law license was suspended. Dana took a job with a firm in another state, starting over with a damaged reputation and no references from her previous employer. As for me, I went back to building things. But I never forgot the lesson they'd taught me. When someone tries to tear you down, sometimes the best response is to show them exactly what you're capable of building in return.